When we step back and think about BYD, it's a company that's achieving the most explosive growth we've ever seen in the auto business in 100 years.
The automotive world is on the verge of a major turning point, and the industry may never be the same again. Tesla, once the undisputed king of the electric empire, has been overtaken by an unexpected powerhouse from the East. BYD, a name whispered even beyond China's borders, is now resonating on the global stage. This Chinese automaker was once dismissed as a budget brand, and sometime his technology was laughed at by Elon Musk.
Why do you laugh? BYD is trying to compete. Why do you laugh?
Have you seen their car?
I have seen their cars, yes. In fact, at the Berkshire Hathaway meeting, I saw their cars.
But BYD refuses to give up, and this emerging force is offering high-performance electric vehicles at prices that are forcing competitors to scramble. Some automakers are rethinking their entire strategy, while others are falling behind. How did this happen so quickly? Why is the world only now waking up to BYD's dominance? And what does this mean for the future of cars? This is the story of BYD's meteoric rise, a tale of quiet ambition, relentless execution, and a vision that could reshape the automotive landscape forever. Stay tuned, because what's coming next might change the future of transportation forever. And trust me, you won't want to miss it. Before we check out what BYD is up to now, let's rewind to how it all began. BYD's rise didn't happen overnight. It was forged in the shadows of industry giants, built on decades of discipline, innovation, and an unrelenting focus on efficiency. While Tesla grabbed headlines with its flashy launches and Elon Musk's larger-than-life persona, BYD was quietly constructing factories, perfecting its battery technology, and laying the groundwork for global domination. Founded in 1995 by Wang Chuanfu, a chemist-turned-entrepreneur from rural China, BYD began as a modest manufacturer of rechargeable batteries for mobile phones, nickel-cadmium and lithium-ion cells. It wasn't glamorous, but it was effective. BYD's early success came from its ability to produce reliable, cost-effective energy storage at scale, capturing a significant share of the global battery market. The turning point came in 2003 when BYD acquired Xuanhua Automobile Company, a struggling state-owned automaker. At the time, the move seemed like a curious side project, barely registering on the radar of global industry watchers. But for Wang, it was a masterstroke. With expertise in battery technology already in hand, he saw an opportunity to control the entire automotive production process, from the chemical composition of batteries to the final assembly of vehicles. This acquisition began BYD's transformation into a vertically integrated powerhouse, a strategy that would give it a decisive edge over competitors.
Every EV stock for cars in America is down in Q1 of 2024, and a lot of people are sitting there talking about this company called BYD that originally started in China as a battery manufacturing company and now an automaker, designing cars. 3 million last year, where the average EV car in America is around $55,000. They have an EV you can buy for $10,000 that goes 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, and America's sitting there saying, holy shit, what happens if these guys come to America?
Vertical integration, controlling every aspect of production from raw materials to finished products, became BYD's defining strength. Unlike Tesla, which relies on suppliers like Panasonic and CATL for batteries, or legacy automakers dependent on sprawling networks of external vendors, BYD manufactures its batteries, chips, and vehicle components. This approach minimizes delays, ensures tighter quality control, and slashes production costs. By building everything in-house, BYD created a lean, agile operation that could adapt quickly to market demands and technological shifts. Still, most of the world wasn't paying attention. That changed in 2008. That year, Warren Buffett, yes, that Warren Buffett, made a rare and unexpected move. Through Berkshire Hathaway, he invested $230 million into BYD for a nearly 10% stake in the company. Buffett isn't known for chasing hype or betting on tech companies. He famously avoided Apple stock for years. So why BYD? He saw what few others did. A quiet, disciplined company that was already building the future. That investment lit a spark. Suddenly, BYD wasn't just a regional battery company, it had global credibility. It expanded into plug-in hybrids, then into fully electric vehicles. And in China, a country racing to electrify its massive car market, BYD became a household name. It started producing electric buses, electric trucks, and electric taxis. While GM and Ford were lobbying against EV regulations in the United States, BYD was delivering them to Chinese cities by the thousands. At the heart of BYD's strategy is a simple but powerful idea. Control the supply chain, and you control the future. Most automakers operate like orchestras, coordinating dozens of suppliers and thousands of components, always at risk of disruption. BYD, by contrast, functions like a single, finely tuned instrument. Every part of its operation, batteries, chips, software, and assembly, works harmoniously, enabling unmatched speed, cost efficiency, and flexibility. This operational agility has made BYD a formidable competitor, capable of producing better batteries than Tesla, manufacturing faster than Toyota, and selling cheaper than Hyundai. In 2024, BYD hit a revenue milestone so massive it immediately sent shockwaves through the automotive world: $107 billion. That figure isn't just large, it's larger than Tesla's, which came in at $97.7 billion. This is no longer a story of catching up. This is BYD overtaking Tesla, not just in units, but in total sales volume and revenue. It's the kind of figure that makes boardrooms panic and investors start asking uncomfortable questions. Even more staggering than the money is the scale. In 2024 alone, BYD sold approximately 4.27 million vehicles worldwide. That's nearly 10 times what it sold in 2020. Tenfold growth in less than 5 years. It's not just impressive, it's unprecedented. Most car companies would be lucky to grow 10% year over year. BYD didn't just grow, it exploded. And it did so while expanding into more markets, adding more models, and scaling its production with ruthless efficiency. China remains BYD's stronghold. It's the world's largest EV market by far, and BYD is its undisputed king. But now, BYD isn't just dominating at home, it's winning in Europe too. In 2024, BYD outsold Tesla in both Italy and Spain. It's rapidly closing the gap in Germany and the United Kingdom, two of the toughest auto markets in the world. These aren't flukes, these are warning signs, because Europe has long been a stronghold of Western automakers. The fact that a Chinese company is gaining traction at scale in markets traditionally loyal to German and American brands is something no legacy executive can afford to ignore. What's making this even more threatening to Tesla and others is how fast BYD is moving. They're not waiting around for market trends to guide them. They're setting the trends. Just recently, BYD filed for a new model, the Sea Lion 06. This is part of an aggressive expansion of their EV and hybrid portfolio, specifically targeting the crossover SUV segment, a category that dominates sales in every major market. The Sea Lion line is being positioned to hit both the hybrid and full electric sweet spot, giving customers a versatile alternative that's both affordable and performance-driven. The pace at which BYD is innovating is just as alarming to its rivals. Earlier this year, the company unveiled what might be its most disruptive piece of tech yet, the Super E platform. This new EV architecture can deliver a 400-kilometer range charge in just 5 minutes. That's made possible by a jaw-dropping 1,000-kilowatt charging capability. Put simply, this could obliterate the biggest drawback still holding EVs back: charging time. If you can fill your battery in the same time it takes to fill your gas tank, what reason does the average consumer have to fear the switch? This platform could dramatically shrink the infrastructure gap for EV adoption. Right now, one of the key bottlenecks is not just the number of chargers, it's the time it takes to use them. If BYD can deploy these high-speed chargers efficiently, it would no longer be about range anxiety. It would become about range convenience. No other automaker, not even Tesla with its vaunted supercharger network, currently offers this level of charging speed across their lineup. Tesla's superchargers top out around 250 kilowatts for most of its fleet. Even Tesla's upcoming V4 chargers don't cross the 1,000 kilowatt mark. In contrast, BYD's new platform is not only faster, but designed to handle wide-scale deployment. And here's the critical part. BYD controls the battery tech, the vehicle design, and the charging architecture. That kind of vertical integration means faster rollout, tighter control, and fewer delays. It's a level of operational agility that Tesla is struggling to match as its scale grows and complexity increases. Tesla's other Achilles heel is pricing. In Asia and Europe, Tesla is losing its edge, not because its cars are worse, but because BYD has redefined what affordability looks like. For years, Tesla was able to claim the title of affordable premium EV. That space has now been hijacked. BYD is producing cars like the Dolphin and the Seal that cost thousands less than Tesla's Model 3 and Model Y, while offering similar, if not better, range, features, and comfort. These are not stripped-down, low-quality vehicles. They're smart, sleek, and efficient. In markets like Spain and Italy, where average incomes are lower than in the US, price matters, and BYD is using that to its advantage. Another reason BYD's rise is so destabilizing is that it comes at a moment when Tesla's narrative is starting to fray. The company has been promising a $25,000 vehicle for years, but nothing has materialized. Its Cybertruck rollout has been delayed multiple times, and critics are beginning to question whether Tesla is prioritizing spectacle over scale. Meanwhile, BYD just keeps launching. They're not teasing concepts, they're filing production models, they're opening new factories, they're closing deals. That consistency, quiet, methodical, and fast, is now being seen as more attractive to both governments and buyers alike. Industry insiders are beginning to whisper the unthinkable, that Tesla may never reclaim the dominance it once had. One analyst recently told Bloomberg, Tesla's era of leading the pack is over. It's now a fight to avoid falling behind. When insiders start speaking that bluntly, it's a signal that the tide is turning. So why aren't we hearing more about this in the US? Because the narrative still clings to the myth that Tesla is untouchable, that Elon Musk is always 10 steps ahead. But the numbers don't lie. Revenue is lagging. Global market share is slipping. And BYD isn't just catching up, it's already ahead. Tesla's stock remains buoyed by future expectations, but BYD is delivering now. They're showing up with results quarter after quarter, and markets around the world are rewarding them for it. The Blade battery, BYD's silent weapon. The most important battery in the world right now isn't inside a Tesla. It's inside a BYD, and chances are you've never even heard its name. But the Blade battery is dismantling everything the EV industry thought it knew about performance, safety, and cost. At the core of BYD's success is a very deliberate decision to bet everything on lithium iron phosphate, known as LFP, rather than follow the rest of the industry into more expensive and volatile battery chemistries like nickel manganese cobalt, NMC. That decision now looks like one of the smartest moves in modern automotive history. LFP batteries are inherently more stable. They don't rely on cobalt or nickel, and they're cheaper to produce. But BYD didn't stop at using LFP. They re-engineered how the battery itself is structured, and that's where the Blade battery comes in. Instead of using traditional stacked pouch cells or cylindrical cells like Tesla's 4680s, the Blade battery uses elongated, ultra-thin battery cells laid side by side like blades, hence the name. This structure allows for greater surface area, which significantly improves thermal management. In simple terms, it doesn't overheat. And if you've been following the EV industry for any length of time, you'll know that overheating is one of the biggest risks in battery tech. Thermal runaway, a condition where the battery catches fire or explodes, is the nightmare scenario for every manufacturer. And that's what the Blade battery was built to eliminate. BYD's battery passed the industry's most brutal stress test, the nail penetration test. This test involves driving a metal nail directly into a charged battery cell to simulate a puncture or crash impact. Most batteries fail this test, some violently. BYD's Blade battery didn't catch fire. It didn't emit smoke. The surface temperature barely rose. It remained stable, intact, and cool. This wasn't just a breakthrough in safety. It was a challenge thrown at the entire industry. If you're not using safer chemistry and better structure, what are you doing? Most EVs today, especially in the premium market, still use NMC batteries because they offer high energy density. In theory, they can store more energy in less space, but that comes at a price. Cobalt is expensive and ethically problematic. It's often mined in conditions linked to forced labor and environmental damage. Nickel is becoming more expensive and harder to source. BYD's Blade battery uses neither. It uses iron and phosphate, which are abundant, cheap, and far more stable. That gives BYD a significant advantage in cost, sourcing, and public image. And here's what really sets it apart. BYD has figured out how to extract high energy density from LFP chemistry by optimizing the battery's internal layout. Normally, LFP batteries have lower range because of their lower energy density, but because the Blade battery design uses fewer structural components and more active material, it increases the amount of energy that can be stored without increasing size. So now, you get range without the risk, a longer-lasting, safer battery that doesn't cost more to make. That's not just a win. That's a direct attack on every other EV platform. Today, BYD's Blade battery powers everything from city commuter cars to luxury sedans, buses, and even experimental hypercars. It's versatile enough to scale across every segment. That means BYD isn't building separate battery lines for different products. They're refining one system and applying it everywhere. That level of standardization slashes manufacturing costs, simplifies design, and makes upgrades faster. It's the kind of efficiency that Tesla tried to achieve with its gigafactories. Only BYD did it through material science and structural innovation. And here's where things get uncomfortable for Tesla. In the last 2 years, Tesla quietly started incorporating LFP batteries into its standard range vehicles, most notably the Model 3 and Model Y, sold in China and some parts of Europe. But there's a difference between using technology and mastering it. Tesla still relies on external suppliers like CATL for those LFP packs. BYD, on the other hand, makes its own. That means it can design the battery, the vehicle, and the software all together, optimizing for performance, cost, and energy use with full control over the process. When you control the entire stack, you get efficiencies others can't. Charging curves can be tuned more precisely. Power output can be optimized without compromising cell life. Software can communicate directly with the chemistry of the battery in real time. It's not just a battery anymore, it's an integrated power system. And in an industry where milliseconds of acceleration and minutes of charging time make or break adoption, those details matter more than most people realize. There's also the issue of lifespan. Most EV batteries begin to degrade significantly after 1,000 charge cycles. LFP chemistry is more resilient. Many blade batteries retain over 80% capacity even after 3,000 full charge-discharge cycles. That translates to longer life for the vehicle and lower total cost of ownership. For governments and fleets making bulk EV purchases, this makes BYD's offerings extremely attractive. You're not just getting a cheaper vehicle, you're getting one that performs longer with less maintenance. It's worth pausing here to think about what this means on a strategic level. The biggest barrier to global EV adoption isn't speed or even range, it's infrastructure and cost. The blade battery reduces both problems. It charges faster, it lasts longer, it costs less to make, and it's easier to scale. Governments trying to electrify public transit systems don't have to worry about battery fires or short life cycles. Consumers don't have to worry about degrading range or expensive replacement packs. It simplifies the entire ownership experience, and in doing so, it accelerates adoption without subsidies or gimmicks. You're not just buying a BYD vehicle. You're buying into a self-contained battery ecosystem, one that doesn't depend on unstable raw materials, doesn't rely on outsourced tech, and doesn't gamble on unproven designs. While other companies are still chasing the next breakthrough, BYD has already built theirs and is scaling it globally. So where does this leave everyone else? Playing catch-up. Toyota has only recently begun to shift toward LFP for certain models. GM is still deep into NMC chemistry with Ultium. Ford is experimenting but hasn't shown a clear LFP roadmap. Even Tesla, widely seen as the EV leader, is years behind BYD on this front. And now, as BYD continues to roll out new vehicles based entirely on the Blade battery platform, the gap is widening. Could BYD take over the electric car world? BYD, a big name in electric vehicles, EVs, is zooming up the ranks and making people wonder, will it rule the EV industry? This Chinese company has some clever tricks up its sleeve. It makes its own special blade battery, which keeps costs low and cars safe. Plus, it builds almost everything itself, so it doesn't have to wait on others for parts. That means BYD can sell its EVs for way less than many competitors, all while keeping quality high. With China leading the EV game, BYD is selling tons of cars and spreading fast across the globe. But hold on, the old-school car giants like Volkswagen, General Motors, and Toyota aren't just watching from the sidelines. They're pouring billions into building their own electric cars and teaming up with battery experts to catch up. These brands are super well known, especially in places like the US and Europe, and they've got loyal fans. The problem is, they're still dealing with pricey production, battery shortages, and supply headaches, stuff BYD has already figured out. The big question is, can these classic car makers crank out affordable EVs fast enough to keep up with BYD's low prices and speedy growth? One big reason BYD could lead the electric vehicle EV pack is that it controls almost everything itself. From batteries to chips to building the cars, BYD doesn't rely on shaky outside suppliers. That's a superpower compared to others like Tesla, which depends on multiple battery makers, or old-school car companies that buy from big names like KATL or LG. Those guys can get stuck with delays or price swings, while BYD keeps things steady and affordable. That freedom lets BYD pump out cars fast and push into places like Asia, Europe, and Latin America with ease. BYD might just rewrite how the car world works, but it's not a done deal yet. There are some roadblocks, like tricky politics, trade rules, or even Western buyers who aren't sure about a Chinese brand. Meanwhile, the big-name automakers aren't going down without a fight. They've got loyal customers, strong dealerships, and lots of influence in places like the US and Europe. So, what's the bottom line? BYD's got a real shot at being the EV king if it can dodge those hurdles, keep growing fast, and stay ahead with cool new ideas. It's got the tools to take the top spot, but ruling the whole industry, that's still up in the air in this wild, fast-changing race. Thanks for watching, everyone. So, what do you think? Will BYD zoom to the top of the electric car world, or will the big-name automakers fight back and hold their ground? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on this electrifying race. See you in the next video.